tell me. Okay, can we go ahead and get started this morning? Thank you all for being here. Excuse me, can we go ahead and get started? Can everybody take a seat? Thank you. Thank you for everyone being here. Senator Robinson, we have a quorum, it looks like. Is that correct? Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, we have one item on the agenda. It's what I told you about the other day, and that's the hearing on Dr. Lance Evans to the State Superintendent of Public Education. And good morning, Dr. Evans. If you could come on up here to the podium.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and then I'll open up the members of the committee to ask a few questions. So Like all nominees, could you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where your background is, and what makes you think you're qualified for the position of state superintendent?
Sir, first of all, thank you so much for being here this morning and allowing me the opportunity to do this. A little bit about me. I am a Mississippi born and bred guy, born and raised in North Mississippi, in Etowah County. My entire life, I've been in public education. I think Mississippi's public education system is the best public education system in the United States. One of the main reasons for that is the driving force that we have for the people in our state. Like I said, I graduated from high school in Etowah County School District. Went to Etowah Community College. I think we have a great community college system as well. Left there, went to Mississippi State, got my undergrad there, my master's degree from the University of Mississippi, and a specialist and a doctorate from Delta State. So I kind of made the loop in that part of the world. It's my 24th year in the education world. Worked as a teacher and a coach and assistant principal at high school, elementary school principal, high school principal, and in my 6th year as a superintendent in New Albany School District. Married for 24 years now, and got lucky, married my best friend. So I have a great wife and 2 great children. That one's at Mississippi State and one's still in high school. So as far as why I think I'm the best person for this job, I don't mean this in any type of an arrogant way, but you'll find no one that cares more about Mississippi than Lance Evans. Over the last 24 years, I've done everything in my power, whether it be the hard lifts, the being outside the box. We've been very innovative in what we've done, and the guiding force for us and me is creating pathways of success with no dead ends for all of our students in Mississippi.
All right, and we all have a peer report in front of us, and it indicated that you may have not filed your statement of economic interest. Is that something you're looking to do?
It's being taken care of as we speak.
Okay, thank you. As you're aware, you've been a part of what we call the Mississippi Miracle, people call that, and so, which is great. A lot of hard work for a lot of people. A lot of superintendents sitting here in the audience have been a part of that. But the question is, we don't want to rest on our laurels. So what do you plan to do to help push us forward in the next 5 or 10 years to keep us improving in education?
Yes, sir. We are definitely on an upward trajectory in Mississippi from an education standpoint. I'm the type person that, of course, people hold you to a high level. I hold myself to a much higher level than anyone could ever hold me. And in moving Mississippi forward, one of the pieces that's very important is MDE and the department and the state board. We're going to revisit our strategic plan to realign what business and industry is looking for in public education. Bring as many as possible, bring in more support in some of our struggling school districts because there are some different approaches that we can take that will have a greater impact in those schools, but go back and reset those goals and push towards them. That is, I could get into details, but we would be here for a while. But the main thing is understanding where we are and understanding where we're trying to be and being the driving force behind pushing that forward and putting those systems in place. I'm a very systems-driven human that ensure quality outcomes for all of our students.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Evans. That's a little background. I'll open it to questions for any members of the committee that you may have. Senator Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Evans, for being here. I want to say thank you first for this year reaching out to, I'm going to guess you probably reached out to everybody on this committee ahead of this meeting, and that has given a number of us an opportunity to ask you questions and just see inside of where you stand on different things ahead of this. So you may not have as many questions as you might have had you not done that. So I think that was a good move. But the question I have for you just stems around CTE and career technical education. I know in conversations I've had with you, that seemed to be a passion and a priority for you. And could you just share with us, maybe how you think that could be improved in Mississippi and how you, as our state superintendent, might have the ability to move us forward in that arena?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, that has been, when I was growing up, it was referred to as VOTEC, and it had a negative connotation. But over the last 10 to 12 years, we've seen this transition to career and technical education, which we have empowered in our school district. I have empowered my entire life because I understand the power that it has on increasing the eligible workforce in Mississippi. And some of these pieces that we've done, and I'm going to use my district as a personal reference. From an internship standpoint, from a business and industry standpoint, in pockets across Mississippi, we have very effective systems that are currently in place for workforce development, career and technical and workforce development. What we plan to do is leverage those and scale those, because there are, in New Albany, we have certain resources that are afforded to us. And I know not all districts have that. So we have to create systems and ways to provide those opportunities for all students, because we have them for our students for 17 years as a captive audience. My goal is for students to exit the public education system that very employable and it depends on, it kind of depends on their path if they choose to take, but making sure that they are very employable and they have national certification that is recognized, not just by the department, if you will, but recognized by the local business and industry where they live. Because that's vital that we do that. But putting those systems in place, expanding the career coach program, making sure that things are aligned from the community college curriculum, alignment from the community college up to the K-12 world, all those pieces are vital in us establishing that systemized process to ensure that desired outcome for our students.
And would you agree that, in our education system as a whole, we celebrate very often maybe the sports kind of achievements that our students make and scholarships that they might achieve as they're leaving high school, but coming out of a career technical type of modality, we maybe sometimes don't do as good a job at recognizing that as an achievement going forward. And so would it be your desire to find a way that we could instill that as an achievement in our children, but also in their parents, because I think, we need education, not just for the kids, but, for the parents to feel very happy that their child might leave school and move into a high paying, welding job or, other technical job or something like that as good as being equally as important as a sports scholarship somewhere. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that you just have to be very intentional about doing that. And I would completely agree with what you're saying.
I look forward to seeing ideas and things like that come from MD. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator Parker. Senator McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Evans, I'm glad you're here. We're so proud of you, what you're doing and have done in public schools. It doesn't say here on your resume or the peer report, but would you state where you went to high school?
Manatee High School in Etowah County.
So one of the things I really want to focus on, and I hope you'll focus on, is a vision of doing what you can with what you got with where you are. And one of the things I really love about Manatee Schools, and Senator Polk will appreciate this, y'all have the only slaughterhouse in a high school in the state of Mississippi. You're teaching students there to be butchers and how to process animals. You also have a sawmill. That's important because there's a lot of sawmills operations in that area of the state. I like what they're doing in Vicksburg. I like the magnet schools that they're creating, the public school academies where they're focusing on coding or they're focusing on nursing. They're focusing on the careers that are in those areas. I really like I like these schools to be focused on what they're doing in those areas to build. Saltillo, TVA is a big sponsor in Saltillo, Mississippi, of the coding that they have for those high-tech jobs at TVA energy companies. As you know, Toyota has Ball in Mississippi has the only Toyota dojo in the state of Mississippi. And I hope you have that same vision for our students to help them connect with career opportunities here in the state. And I would like to see incorporated in the curriculum, I'd like to see our young people understand capitalism. I want to be entrepreneurs. I want them to, I wish that we would teach kids how to invest in high school. Everybody has an E-Trade account and teach them to trade. Because what we're doing today is going to yield dividends 20 years from now. And I want people around the country to say, man, those students coming out of Mississippi are entrepreneurs, they're capitalists. I mean, what is going on down there? And I know we've had a lot of conversations about it, but I mean, the momentum is with us. Mississippi, just a lot of great things happening in the state. And I hope that we can count on you to really push those connections with education and companies in those regions to help them connect and grow Mississippi and grow our businesses.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your comments. That private business connection with the public ed is something that we have embraced tremendously in the last 6 years and seen really great growth there and very successful relationship. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I mean, I like seeing corporate sponsors in these different academies within the school. You know, they like APMN at Baldwin. That Toyota dojo is named after APMN, and then H.M. Richards has their advanced manufacturing. They have corporate sponsors that's sponsoring those, and I just really appreciate that. Tupelo High School probably has the nicest kitchen in the entire state of Mississippi, and because they're teaching culinary arts in high school, and it's working. And I like that you went to school in Mantachie, then you went to community college, you went to senior college. I mean, this is what it's all about. And so thank you for that. And I hope we can count on you to really help us sync all those different, sync up all those companies and education.
I can assure you, you can count on me to do that.
Thank you.
Without a doubt.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Lance. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
you, man,
Thank
a
you,
lot.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator McMahon. I recognize Senator Boyd.
Thank you very much. I'll also say you taught at one of the schools in my district and they have nothing but great things to say about you. But, and I appreciate you addressing the school, our schools that are low performing and what you do. And I will attest that if you start him talking, he will talk for an hour on that. So, and it is a good thing. Also on that note, and I brought this up to you before, and I actually brought this up with a board member that was being reconfirmed last week. We have some major challenges with our students with special education. It is such a broad spectrum of students. We have students who are very low cognitively performing to students who are both twice exceptional, meaning that they are both gifted, and special education as well. We don't do, and this is my assessment, a great job in the state of Mississippi. I don't think there's anybody who would say that we do an exceptional job at that. But some of our schools have real bright spots, and we have some schools that are doing some great things, but we don't see that across the board. And I know that because I get lots of parent complaints still that come to me asking for advice, and I don't represent any of them anymore since I've gone to the legislature, but I see that, and it's across the state. I'm asking, and as I asked that board member, let's put some extra emphasis on special education, but most of all, let's put some emphasis on using professional development with the staff that is there, not just the special education staff, but the administration as well. Because what I see across the state, and I've been doing this years and years in helping school districts, if when our administrators understand that you then therefore have a staff that works with them that understands as well. So I'm going to ask that you take a broad educational approach with that. But I also, there's one characteristic. When I see a school district that does special education well, I see a high performing district because they understand how to reach each and every student. And I think that is critical. We've seen that with states across the country who started putting emphasis on that. They saw those districts become much higher performing. So it's more of a request. I know that you've done this in your own district that you're in right now, and I would ask that you take that across the
Yes.
state.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Boyd. Senator Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Evans, good morning.
Good morning.
I see from your resume, it seems that you're a Rhodes Scholar, as in 4 different institutions of higher learning. and I appreciate that. I'm sure that you gleaned some new knowledge from each one of them. And you'll use that in your efforts to run our state school system. First, I'd like to know, what is the student population of the district that you are the superintendent of?
As far as demographics,
No, just total number.
24, 23, 20, but it'll fluctuate between 2,200 and 2,250.
Okay,
Can't get my words out. I apologize.
that's okay. All
My
right.
mind was going towards demographics. I wasn't sure what you were asking there. I apologize.
So the district is not that large, but it's a viable district that has done well in the state ratings. I see that you've been A
Mhm.
pretty much the whole time. One school was maybe a B. Are there 3 schools in the district? Is
Yes,
that
sir,
what
there's
I'm seeing?
A high school, middle school, elementary school, a career and technical center,
Okay.
and then a alternative learning center.
Okay. My question is this: in 2018, there was a dip. What caused that dip? Were you able to identify that?
Are you talking about in our high school?
It was 2 schools, I believe, that went down 1 letter grade in 2018.
Yeah, so what it was in 2018, it was our high school. And we had a dip because of a transition from how we were actually, our non-diploma seeking special ed students, transitioning them all over to our high school diploma system. And that was something that we had to correct that had been put into place years and years ago. But I think you'll find that dip, but then it came right back that next year. It went from an A to a B.
Okay. Well, according to the peer report, in 2018, your elementary went from an A to a B. Your middle school went from a B to a C, but your high school received an A in all the years.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. We saw that dip, but then we came back the next year. It was that transition because we had to put students on a different, advance their diploma track, if you will. Because what was happening is when we increased that diploma track, it changed their path, their educational path, to get them to change the direction to it, getting a traditional high school diploma in lieu of a non-traditional high school diploma, if you will. So, and there's also dips, there's ups and downs at times in the educational programming. I mean, you have administrators that change, but that would be my answer to that question. It's, but I will say over the entire time that I've been there at the high school, I was at the high school, we were a B the first year coming in, then an A, and then going into the second year as being a superintendent, I believe it was the second we transitioned to an A district,
Mhm.
and have maintained that the entire time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pope. Senator Norwood?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Evans, again, we thank you for your commitment and availability to be a public servant. And I've talked to you about the district that you're coming from, majority to having to address the minority population and some of the inadequacies that may exist. But one of the things that I guess I saw it again this morning regarding absenteeism and the challenges, especially I'm from Hinds County, and Jackson Public Schools is a part of my territory. But addressing absenteeism, I'm of the mindset that if we get our children to school, that we can change their lives, because they will be, teaching will take place. Again, I just want you to restate your commitment to holding superintendents, parents, the superintendents, their responsibility to hold, their parents. But if you would hold the superintendents accountable to making sure that every tool is in the toolbox, and if it's not enough tools in that toolbox, that they would, you would work with them to make those tools available to increase, maybe decrease the absenteeism it's easy to put a child out of school. A child that may be perceived as a challenge or a problem child, some may say. But I would just like for you to reaffirm your commitment to working with these districts to make sure that you hold superintendents at the local accountable for carrying out their charge to the extent of the law to make sure that children are in school and that like the kick-outs, the put-outs and all of those.
Oh, yes, sir. I would, absolutely. We can't educate them if we're not there. And we have to be creative sometimes in our approach of getting them there and committed to making sure that our students are there. And I mean, it's one of those deals to where we know that after, I hate to even bring up COVID, but we know that after COVID, we saw a dip in our average daily attendance nationwide. We saw that. I've seen that start to come up in my own district. I saw that, and we've seen that start to come up. And you just have to be you said it, you have to be very intentional in making sure that people have the support that they need. And school attendants, officers have the support they need to make sure that they're doing their job and that you're measuring it. Because it's one of those things, you know, what you value, you measure, and what you measure, you improve. So yes, sir.
And also, I'd just like to publicly thank our chairman of the bar and Chairman Hobson, because there's some potential legislation, if it gets through the system, that's going to address some of the challenges that we'll talk to you about, that would help the low performing or low achieving districts, if you will. And we just appreciate these senators and the vision of the Education Board to support you and provide you the tools to do your job. So we look forward to working with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Norwood. Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Dr. Evans, good to see you again.
Yep.
Two things I want to add to the list. I've heard some good comments about SPED and absenteeism. I'm sorry I got here late. I may have missed some other good ones, but absenteeism and helping those children that are in difficult situations. One that I've addressed with you before that I hope you'll continue to keep at the forefront of the discussions is making sure that our children that are in districts that don't have adequate teachers, that don't have certified teachers, that we can get virtually or some other way, that you will help push that with the State Board of Education to allow those kids to be able to get those certified teachers that they need, and also the advanced placement teachers for those districts too. So I hope that you and the board will continue to push that effort, because I don't think that is where it needs to be in our state, to offer our kids every opportunity to succeed. And the second thing is related to something actually that came up yesterday in a bill. We've had, as you know, National Board Certified Teachers get a stipend, get an additional $6,500. There have been one or two other areas that has opened up to for National Board certification, but we've got several other groups that are pushing for those additional dollars. And this is something that I look forward to discussing with you and the board at some point. I mean, there's a finite number of dollars out there. You know, and my concern is that, you know, we've got so many dollars, and if you're pushing them to too many things where they may not be needed because you just want to pay people board certification. I mean, that's good, but it's also, you may tell us that we need to really focus our efforts and our dollars to this or that before we just start going through these. And there's a number of professions that are out there. I mean, occupational therapists, psychologists, behavior specialists, physical therapists, dietitians, respiratory therapists. Oh, Senator Barr, you may remember a couple others, and yeah, so we've got a whole list of them, and I guess that's where we need some help. What is it in the educational process where we need to emphasize that we may have to put a couple extra dollars into these areas, but keeping in mind that there's a finite number of dollars. You can't just, you know, give out everything, because if all this money's gone out, then that's less money for other programs that you may need to run the State Department. I mean, to run the State Department and also provide the the districts and their teachers and other people there what they need to be the most effective. So I will appreciate your comments and review of that once, assuming you get confirmed and take the job here soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Hobson. Any other questions or comments? Senator Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Evans, for being here. We have a lot of ideas and thoughts that's been flowing your way and reading through your information. I know you have a sports background, and my question to you is, with the challenges that we've talked about and that you know about, how will you prioritize? I know you mentioned strategic planning. What kind of style, processes, procedures, just overall, how are you going to move forward day one?
I think I know I think I can answer the question that
Okay,
you asked
good.
appropriately. So, I'm a return on investment guy. This links a little bit back to what you were talking about. So the process in which we'll go through with our state board, assuming that they have already committed to revisiting the strategic plan, is evaluating everything that we've currently been doing. So think of it as from a standpoint of putting it all on the table and then pulling out the things that maybe don't make sense, but doing the things that are what's best for the state of Mississippi and the students of Mississippi. But doing it in a way to where you have to prioritize your funds to make sure that you're having the greatest impact on students, because the bottom line is public education is what we do is pretty simple. We're creating active, productive members of society. And in that, we have to create those pathways, like I was saying earlier, for them to be successful. So we have to make sure that there's multiple pathways to ensure that the students fit into those. And then as we push forward, I don't know if you're necessarily talking about funding, but any type of innovative programs, I believe in creating pilots, if you will, to ensure the success and measure the success of those programs. But we have to get away from just the status quo or the norm, if you will. If we're not willing to take calculated risk, now they have to be calculated, right? But if we're not willing to take those calculated risks and do bold things for our students, we won't be able to make great change. And I'm a go fast guy. I have to have people that are like, hey, slow down a little bit. And I'm also the type guy that I'm perfectly okay with building the plane in flight. And what I mean by that is there are bumps in the road when you're pushing organizations forward. But we just have to find a way to navigate that as we go, and making sure we meet all the students' needs as we do that. I think I've answered your question. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Senator Robinson. Anything further by any member? Okay, Dr. Evans, you can go have a seat. I think we're gonna take a vote now, if you don't mind. So having heard from Dr. Evans, do I hear a motion that we do advise? Oh, Senator Simmons. Okay, sorry, Dr. Evans.
Thought you had.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Evans, for
Yes,
being
ma'am.
here this morning. My question to you is, what measures have been or will be implemented to prevent poor performing schools from failing further as a result of COVID?
So as far as measure, of course, we have the state accountability system that's in place. So those will continue to be primary measures. You look at it from the standpoint of absenteeism is another measure. And so the measures, once you find the pieces that are issues, what we have to do, I'm kind of not flipping the answer, but kind of tweaking it a little bit. We have to be able to provide the support, because that's once you identify the issues, that's one thing. Providing the support to correct the issues is a whole nother thing. And my approach is more of a preemptive type approach, in which when we predict our problems and then aggressively provide support to fix those. Because what we can't have happen is our struggling schools continue to struggle. And the thing is I hold myself accountable for their performance. I'm one of those people. I believe the leader of the organization is responsible. And the leader has to do the heavy lifting to make sure things happen. I just think that is so important that we don't, like I said earlier, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but operate the way we've been operating, because we've been operating that way. We can't exhibit that kind of behavior. So
Thank you so much,
Yes,
Dr. Evans.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator Simmons. All right, now I think we'll take do I hear a motion that we do advise on consent? Senator Boyd makes that motion. Any questions, comments at this point? Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. That nomination will be reported to the floor. So if I could have a few comments for everybody beforehand. I want to thank Dr. Evans for coming before us. Thank you for stepping up. I don't see an issue with coming up on the floor, but I think, as you can see, this is a very experienced and a senior committee. We all have different issues that we like that are on our pet little peas that we want to make focus on. Once confirmed, I hope you don't become a stranger around here especially during the session. I expect that this committee will have several hearings in the off session on various issues, and that we want you to be a part of those as well. And so thank you again. I also want to praise the Board of Education, which you don't hear that very often, but I'm going to do that now. Thank you for conducting a very open, transparent, and thorough search and providing a very excellent candidate to serve as your next superintendent for your board. I think you made a great choice coming from me. So also want to thank Dr. Evans's support here this afternoon or this morning. I think it shows the character and the experience that Dr. Evans has that you're here. And so we appreciate you being here. Also, before we leave, make sure the packets get returned to Christy. And I want to make one introduction, in case you don't know him, from the Southern SREB Board, Southern Regional Educational Board, it's Dale Winkler. Is he here? If you go ahead and stand up. Dr. Evans, you're going to be getting to know him if you don't already. They have conferences several times throughout the year. Lieutenant Governor will be making several appointments to come to the annual meeting, I think in Dallas later this year. I think in addition to Senator Hobson and myself, Senator Norwood, we're on the executive committee. 5 other members will be appointed by the Lieutenant Governor to attend that meeting if you'd like to go as well. And so we appreciate you, Dale, you being here and the service that you provide to us as we move forward. So Dr. Evans, in closing, I want to thank you again. You got challenges ahead. Not only do we have an enrollment cliff with universities and colleges, we have a decline in our K through 12 system. So challenges such as how do we fund them, consolidation issues, I think that'll be coming to the forefront in the next few years. So we look forward to working with you as we go forward. So with that, I have a motion, we rise and report. All right, so thank you.